welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
G'day, thanks for having us.
It's all good, man. It's all good. How's things been up your way in Canberra?
It's been pretty good, actually. We've had a lot of rain recently, but apart from that, it's been super good compared to elsewhere in the world right now.
Yeah. You guys haven't had that much, like the lockdown or kind of repercussions from the COVID, hey?
Dude, we got so lucky with it. It all sort of kicked off, and Canberra's sort of pretty unique. We're in our own little bubble, and nothing really changed for us. I never stopped going to work, and I pretty much found out that my life is pretty much living in isolation, basically. Go to work, come home, go ride by myself, come home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. Most of the population, I guess, being polys, they probably just fly in and fly out all the time anyway, right?
Yeah, there's a bit of that going around.
Sick, man. So for those who don't know, who you are, I guess, do you want to introduce yourself? Give yourself a quick rundown.
Yeah, I'm Mike. I'm 28 years old. I'm from Canberra, Australia, and I ride mountain bikes, basically.
But you haven't been riding for that long? You mentioned just before, just over 2 years?
Yeah, so I rode freestyle BMX for a long time, and then I got into mountain biking at the start of 2017. Bought my first mountain bike. Pretty much went up to a mate's house up on the Central Coast. We rode some mountain bikes, and then I came home from that trip over New Year's and pretty much went straight into the shop and put a deposit down on a bike, and yeah, that was it. Away we went.
Do you even ride your BMX anymore?
Nah, so I went to Farm Jam earlier in the year, and I took my jump bike and my BMX over there, and I rode Gorge Road on the BMX. I think I did about 5 or 6 laps, and then that was it. Took it all the way to New Zealand and rode 5 or 6 laps, and then it's come home and I built it back up, and it's just sitting in the shed.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's I can't ride BMX. I've never ridden BMX because I'm 9 feet tall, so it always feels real janky.
Yeah.
What's your main difference, I guess, from a dirt jumper to a BMX in the way it ride feel when you're hitting stuff like Gorge?
Basically, so you go from riding, I guess it'd be like riding a downhill bike, and then going to a road bike, just super twitchy, stiff. Is basically it's just twitchiness, really. I know a lot of people who've come over to the squishy bike side, and they say the same thing when they hop back on their BMXs. Just feels super twitchy.
Feels like a kid's toy, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I try not to say that because I get thrown around a bit, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of my mates, a mutual friend of ours, Lloydie, and a few other BMX crew that were really good. They've all just gotten the big bikes, and they struggle to go back.
I know. It's crazy, yeah. I don't know what's going on. I think the scene sort of changed a bit from what it used to be, and mountain biking scene is just so much fun.
Mm. So you started, if we go back to your BMX heritage, you started that was 7 years ago, so 2003-ish?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's just in high school sort of thing.
What was this? I was around that scene, maybe around that time as well, but obviously here in Adelaide.
Yeah.
It was pretty, aggressive, and I wouldn't say aggressive, but it was competitive, and there was a lot of good riders around at the time.
Yeah,
it was almost
100%.
hard to make your way.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Yeah, so pretty much the same. There's so many people in the scene just trying to do their thing, basically. And Canberra's got a big dirt jump scene, and it gets pretty clicky. And if you're not sort of in the click, you sort of, it's a bit weird, but I sort of tried to just do my own thing. And I went to a lot of contests, travelled overseas and to America and China and that sort of thing, riding BMX.
Mm.
But yeah, it was super hard to break into and make a name for yourself, but kind of did it, so it was good.
Yeah, there was always that weird thing, like you'd rock up to a new park and there'd be a group of 5 or 6 dudes that kind of owned it, really, and you got these weird vibes.
Yeah, it's such a silly thing to look back on, but yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and now it's completely opposite in mountain biking.
Oh man, it's the best. Like, I've never done anything where I just go to races, like especially when I started, because I was like, oh yeah, cool, that's what we do. You do races, right? And you just sort of meet people and you sort of get to know them, and then that's it. Next thing you know, you're rocking up to their place and having beers, and then yeah, super fun,
super inviting. Hey,
yeah, exactly.
What age were you when you like headed across to America and stuff for BMX? Because that would have been like prime time over there as well.
Yeah, I was 18 when I first went over. Yeah. So
yeah, okay.
I did the whole like Woodward camp thing, and yeah, super fun.
Was it like the same over there for you? Like, I'm guessing you went solo and it would have been pretty daunting.
No, I went with my parents. We sort of made it into a bit of a holiday as well. So I got to go ride for a few weeks by myself, and then they got to travel around the States as well. So worked out pretty good.
And how was that for you, like going over there and seeing, like, were there big names competing or around you at the time? Or?
Oh, dude, it was crazy. Like, especially being at Woodward, like we'd be riding the mini mega ramp, and then you'd just be like riding with Bestwick and Jed Keggy and just all these pros. And then like the next time we went over, like I think it was the next year or the year after, riding at Daniel Durr's place and just hanging out there. And yeah, Loop Boss and all the boys are there as well, so it was good fun.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah,
what was it like meeting those guys?
Oh, it was super good to meet them, like not at a contest, because like they were just themselves, and yeah, no, they weren't really focused on riding. I just focused on having a good time as well. So it was heaps easier to talk to them, basically. But yeah, they're just normal people like you and I. You know, like I don't know, you get a bit starstruck every now and again, but it's all good. They're just people like you and me, man.
Yeah. What was your kind of aim in going to America and kind of trying to, I guess, going to Woodward and heading overseas? What was the aim behind that?
I just wanted to be the best that I could be, basically. Like my progression over the 2 weeks, the first time I went over was just like out of control, like learnt flares, learnt all these new tricks, brought them straight home, and I could, like do all this stuff straight up like that, because we don't really have those facilities here in Canberra, or really in Australia on that scale. It was basically just to progress as much as I could and push my riding and have a good time.
Was that some like a motivation you've always had? Because it's pretty rare in that sport for that drive, I guess. Yeah,
I think it's a lot of like self motivation, really. Like I am 100% committed in anything I do, really. Like if I'm doing one thing, I'd fully go into doing that thing and 100% commit to it, and pretty much do it as best as I can do, no matter what. And if the best I can do is enough, that's sweet. And if not, all good. At least I know I tried.
Less regrets in that way, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
What was Woodward like? Like that back then? Like that was the place to be. Like you saw it everywhere.
Oh, dude! Like from seeing it on video games and then going there, you're like, oh, I remember this like hangar from like one of these skate video games that I was playing, and then seeing it in real life is just so insane. Just had to pinch yourself that you're actually there doing it.
And I guess like Woodward is more, it was like originated from gymnastics or something, right? But it is basically like a big, huge BMX school.
Yeah.
What kind of things do they teach you?
Yeah. Basically, it's sort of a little bit like free for all, really, but they have like these guided, I guess it's like guided rides where they send you off with a camp leader or whatever they call them in the States. And they're normally a pretty damn good rider. And then they have pros that hang out as well. And then basically if you want to learn something, you just say, oh, I want to learn this today, or I want to try and do this. And then you have these like 2-hour sessions where you can just go through and do whatever you want. Yeah.
Mm. Is it primarily skill-based stuff, like on-bike stuff? Or do they do, I don't even, like it wouldn't have even been a huge thing there, but like marketing and kind of how to become an athlete?
Yeah, so classes? I think they do more of that now. Okay. But they do everything from like gymnastics through to action sports. They also do like a media camp where people who like filming, action sports, or like filming in general, and they go through all that stuff with them as well.
The reason I ask is because you going from your socials and looking at your past work, it seems like you are quite versed and really good at marketing yourself, which is super rare.
Thanks, man.
Is that just something that comes like naturally, or is that something you've learned over your career?
I basically just look at, I just want to have pretty clean image, like use like crisp photos and stuff like that. Just try and be like sort of semi-professional, but don't take it too serious at the same time. I pretty much just looked at other people's Instagrams and have a look at their feed and see what it looks like, and take bits and pieces from what I like and bring it in to one area.
It's pretty hard to find that balance between like taking it seriously and then also not being serious about it, because counting likes and going along down that path can be quite kind of weird.
Oh man, it's tough. Like if you're trying to do something for just to get a certain amount of likes, I don't think you're going to really like the end result for yourself, really. Like you need to do it for you, and then if you're happy with it, perfect. Like if you're happy with it, other people are going to be happy with it, and the people who go with you on that are the people you want around you anyway.
That's a very, very good point, for sure. What was it like back in 2003, 2005, when you started? How did you kind of get from being into BMX then to kind of building up and getting sponsored and then heading to America? Was there a progress or a process you kind of had?
Not really. Like, I just loved it. I just rode every day, and that was it. Basically, like I, just rode every day and had fun doing it. And the local shop down here saw potential in me, and they gave me a spot on their team, like the amateur sort of team thing, and then it all just sort of grew from there, basically.
Because you ended up on a fair brands, right? Like We The People, and you got your Edney shirt on. Like that's a huge brand as well. Like, how did you feel when you had those contracts end up with you?
Oh, dude, BMX is pretty loosey goosey as it is. Like, there wasn't any contracts being handed out. Like, but yeah, it was super. Especially when a bike brand is like interested, or like the importer are interested. You're like, oh, well, must be doing something right. And yeah, so it's pretty much just the shop. They see potential in you, and then they send out stuff to their shop saying, oh, we need someone who sort of fits this sort of thing. And they put my name down, and that was it.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, it was very loose back in the time, hey?
Oh, man. It was sort of good, but at the same time, maybe a bit too loose.
I don't even think it's changed that much now, really, from what I've seen around.
Yeah, I don't think BMX changes very much, to be honest.
And you went to China for a few events?
Yeah, so myself and one of my mates, Troy Harradine, he did a bit of filming. He does a lot of filming down here, and he rides for Colony at the moment too.
Oh, sick.
Super cool dude. I had this idea of going to the World Champs, FICE, in Chengdu in China. And I sort of gave the idea to a few of my mates, and Troy was like, yep, 100%, let's go. So we just went over there with a bloody wind beneath our wings and had a crack, yeah, basically.
How does World Champs work? I guess this is leading on to the BMX in Olympics as well, but how does World Champs in BMX kind of work as a judged event?
Oh, mate, no idea.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess I come from racing, right? So it's like, oh, you got the fastest time.
But yeah, so it's just a judged event. Like, you have your judges and you do qualifying runs, and then your top 25 go through and to the finals, and you have your final runs, and yeah. Best man wins.
It's always been a bit weird because I just didn't know how they judge the best man. Like, it's always in the judge's eyes, right? I guess you see that with like Rampage and a few things as well.
Exactly, yeah. Like, especially when you see like people go back the other way from like racing to a judged event, and they try and figure it out. Like, you can't figure it out. Like, honestly, like, you can pick bits and pieces and like how clean they were, how high they went, different types of tricks. But especially when it comes to park riding, it is super hard to figure out. At least the clock doesn't lie when race, right?
Yeah, exactly. Unless, I mean, yeah, you can make it lie if you wanted to, but yeah,
down that path. Yeah, a couple of Frenchies in there.
Yeah, exactly. And what led you to mountain biking? You said you just went to like a mate's place and rode one. Is that literally how that went? Pretty
much. So my mate's name's Daniel Shirelli. He also pretty much is the same. Pretty much done the same path as me. Rode freestyle BMX, lived in the States, blah blah, and then pretty much switched over to mountain biking as well. We did like a Queenstown ride where we hired downhill bikes for a day. That was like my first downhill sort of ride. It was actually with Lloydie.
Yeah, right.
Before he snapped himself that year, which was a biggie. Anyway, yeah. So I did a little bit, but like it was really not much. And then he started doing it over here, and I went up there. He's like, "Oh, we're going for this trail ride around Glenrock in Newcastle." I was like, "Oh yeah, sweet, sounds good. Can I borrow a bike or something?" He just got his, pretty sure he just got his new Bronson, and he had an old white orange that was a 26-inch, but he had 27-inch wheels jammed in there somehow. Yeah, it's so sick. Rode that, and we came back to the house, and I'm like, "Yep, I'm getting one of these when I get home." So got home from a New Year's. And went into the shop and, yep, I'll take one.
What did you end up getting? Your first rig?
I wrote it down. It's a Norco Sight.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it's a beast. I bent the frame. So I got a replacement frame. I blew 2 rear shocks. So I got a coil. Just upgraded stuff as I broke it, basically. But I've still got it. My dad's bike now.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, it's a beast.
What was it like breaking stuff on a mountain bike and having the prices of a blown rear shock compared to stuff in BMX?
Oh, man. It was, for one, like, BMX, you never break anything. Like, everything is indestructible. Pretty rare you break stuff. it wasn't too bad because like everything was sort of stock. So as I broke it, I just upgraded. So stuff just broke less and less, which was good. But the price jump wasn't too bad. Like I sort of expected it from pretty much from when I went in there with a smaller budget than I thought, and ended up with something way better with a little bit higher price tag. But so worth it.
What was it that you like that attracted you to the mountain biking? What was it that was so different from BMX and everything that kind of hooked you in?
Honestly, I think I was just sick of BMX. It was just super stale for me anyway. And I just went for my first ride on my new bike in the bush, and I had 40 psi on my tires, and I was sliding around everywhere. And I was like, this is sick. Doing skids, like pretty much felt like riding moto. So, I was super happy.
Every BMXer, 40 psi every time they go out on that bike.
100%, yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? I can't get any grip. And then I asked a few mates, like, oh, dude, drop your tire pressures down. Then I dropped them down. Oh, okay, now I understand.
Did you have that kind of experience of riding rougher stuff where you still had that BMX mindset? So a few of my mates, like, they'd roll into rocks a little bit slower and they'd come out and then like, oh shit, we can just go through it.
Yeah, I sort of had the opposite because I was like, sweet, I got suspension, I can just hit anything. So I just used to plow stuff so hard, like riding cannonball on the old site. Yeah, loved it.
Wouldn't go that far. When you started, like nowadays it seems you're very focused on you still obviously race and do trail rides and stuff, but you're very focused on the kind of, I guess, slope style, for the lesser lack of words. But were you always going to interested in the trick and jump side of things?
It sort of happened naturally, really. Like, I raced, and I was always going to do jumps and flips and stuff. Like, that's just me, really. But yeah, the most recent years, like pretty much when I got the speed and style invite is when I sort of started, might actually try and get good at this slope style sort of stuff, and bought a hardtail, and loved it. Just kept going.
How long was it from like your first ride on a mountain bike to where you started kind of competing on it? Because it wouldn't have been that long of a time.
I wrote that down too. I did a little bit of homework for you. So 2017 January, I bought my bike, and the first race was the Rocky Trail at Thredbo. So that was in like March, I want to say.
Yeah, okay. So like 4 months, 3 months, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And I ended up, I went in amateur men. Is that the one below elite? Yeah, must be. Yeah. I ended up winning that, which is pretty wild.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very common story.
Super wild.
How was your first race experience?
Oh, dude, I was so nervous. I went to the toilet probably like 7 or 8 times, like just nervous wheeze. Like so much so that my parents are like, "Are you okay?
Yeah, okay.
Are you all right? What's going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've just like never been so nervous in my whole life. It was insane."
I love that. Like, you go to America, you've ridden BMX worlds, like you've gone and done all this stuff, and then you're at a local mountain bike race and you're still nervous.
Dude, I know, right? It's crazy.
And then you went from like that to you were in Crankworx, like Rotorua this year. Like, that's a huge jump. When was your first kind of Crankworx or like more elite race?
So I did like a national round at Bulla. It's like pretty elite, I suppose you would say. But that was in
Was that downhill?
Yeah, downhill. Yep. So that was January 2019. So that was like my first like proper elite downhill sort of race.
Were you still on the site for that one?
No, I bought a secondhand V10.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool to be my first downhill bike. Pretty lucky with that.
Yeah. You can't really go better than that.
Oh, no, right? I was like, oh, sweet. One came up for the right price. Like, yeah, I'll take it.
Yep. Was that your first introduction to Santa Cruz? Just for a bit of a tangent.
So my first Santa Cruz, I got my blue Bronson just before it was like a couple of weekends before that. I had my...
Okay.
Or was it 2018? No, 2018 I got my Bronson.
Yeah.
Yeah, like early 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What colour? Was that like that same year that they did like the pink and yellow, or did you have the...
It was the baby blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sick.
Was that 18 or 19? Yeah, it must have been 18 because then I took the Bronson to Crankworx in March of 2019.
Yeah, okay.
And then did my first like speed and style on a trail bike, which I was the only one there on a trail bike. I couldn't believe it. It's like, why don't you have a downhill bike? I'm like, well, that's the only bike I got. So I just ran it.
That's like taking a gun to a night fight.
Oh, dude, it's pretty good watching the replay of it. I'm just squishing around everywhere, and everyone's on hardtails.
What was like? Man, to get to like speed and style for the Crankworx, you have to have an invite, right? You can't just kind of rock up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How do you get an invite to that?
I asked around a few people for someone to email or talk to about, trying to get a wild card or something like that. And I got an email and I sent off blah blah, this is my socials and this and that, and they replied with like, yep, no worries, like here's your invite, we'll see you in March.
Yep.
And it was like the best day ever. I was like doing a cashy after work, and I'm just sitting there on the phone like just going through this email. Yep. Just like super pumped. It was awesome.
That's so good. And then you rock up and you got like Carl Strait, Mitch Fropolato, like that kind of crew around you. Did you know who they were at the time, or?
Kind of not really. Like, okay. I've been doing my homework. I have been pretty much going through and watching all this all of the videos and all of the stuff that people talk about, so I can get my head around, just know where you come from, basically. But at that point in time, I knew sort of the bigger names and people here and people there, but not really. So it was kind of good because I didn't really know anybody. So it sort of took the pressure away because I didn't know who they were or what they were capable of. So I just rode my own race and turned out pretty good.
What did you end up placing for that one? Do you know?
So I got through to the live feed. And then Carl Strait went over the berm, so I managed to sneak into the next round.
Yep.
And then I got taken out by Billy McLean, who ended up winning it. So I guess
definitely ride a bike.
8th or something. Oh, yeah. 100%.
What's the qualifying numbers for a speed and style? Like, how many invites do they give out? 30?
So it's the field. I know this year it was like 42 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 8th is pretty damn good.
Yeah, especially on the wrong bike, like first year in. Like, I'm like, oh my God. 1, I didn't even expect to go through the live feed, and then 2, I didn't expect to go further than the first round. I only had like 3 tricks and that was it.
Were you just pedaling up for everyone, just like trail riding it? Or
Yeah, I did a few times. Like did the whole like e-bike thing. Oh, I should have one of these boys.
But what was why did you look at speed and style? Like you could have gone to slope style, or you could have gone to something else, or
well, slope style's like super out of my league, and 2 like super hard to get into. Like you got to be on the tour, you got to get points, you got to have the proper licenses, blah blah blah. But speed and style, I honestly, I love it. It's racing and jumps, and you're next to someone. Like it's everything I like. It's super fun.
It's so good watching the live feed and seeing 2 people upside down. Like,
man, it's so sick.
What's that feeling like when you're flat out and then you're coming into a ramp to do a trick?
Oh, it's one of the best feelings, I reckon, because it's so wild.
Yeah.
Like, you're potentially less than a meter bar to bar with someone, and you're both going upside down or around and around. And at moments in time in the air, you can see the other person, like what they're doing, and they're upside down as well. It's super wild. And then you land, and then you turn into each other. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
It's such a good format.
Yeah, I love it.
Who was it? Thomas Lemoyne?
Yeah,
one of the Frenchies last year that landed with their bars backwards.
Yeah, I think
and then rode. Yeah, like did a barry but only got halfway around and rode half the track with his bars backwards. That
full
was
Nyquist spec.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what a ledge! Just rode it out.
It's so good to watch. What was it like when you watched Nyquist come? Did you watch Nyquist when he was on mountain bikes?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I followed all that. Like I always watched the slope style, like the whole way through. I watched all the Joyride, that sort of thing.
That was one of the best things to watch. Like
dude, so good.
And did you do any other Crankworx events, or was it just the?
Yeah, so I did Rotorua. I did well, so I came home and I'm like, all right, I need to buy a hardtail.
Mm-hmm.
So went into the shop and I'm like, all right, I need a hardtail. Let's build one up. Got one sorted, and then I went to Innsbruck as well.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and
that's almost bigger, right? Like that's a big stop for Crankworx.
Oh, it's massive. That place is like so insane too. Like it's amazing. It's one of the most insane places I've ever been to.
Why is that?
Oh, so when you're at the event, you're sort of focused on riding, blah, blah, blah. And every now and then you look up and you're just like in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
It's just like super postcard. It's insane.
It's kind of like it. You hear it a bit, but from World Cuppers, and it's like that you don't get to experience it much because you're riding so much. But then you look up and it's, as you said, postcard.
Yeah, exactly.
And the competition's pretty fierce over there for it as well, because a lot of Euros go across. Some more Europeans. Yeah.
Dude, Euro dudes and next level. There's so many people that don't really compete, but they're just could easily win a slope style event like tomorrow. Just no one you've ever heard of, and they just come out firing.
I'm pretty sure it's illegal to ride a bike without being able to do a bar spin in Sweden. Like those guys over there, it's next level, hey.
Oh, it has to be. It's written into their curriculum or something.
Yeah, or they're born learning how to do it. It's just like you watch those crew and it's just like, I got no chance. It's next level.
Yeah, I can't do a bar spin at the best of the times. I've been trying hard.
And so were you on a Santa Cruz hardtail when you went across there, or?
Yeah, so I got a Jackal built up, and I finished building it at 11 o'clock at night. I rode it down the street, and I'm like, sweet, feels good. Put it in the box and flew out the next morning.
Yeah, sick.
So yeah, had heaps of time on it. It was good.
And how'd that bode for you at that race or at that event?
Oh, it was actually really good. A good friend of mine, Christo, he lent me his Norco 250, I think they're called. And I built a step up out at my uncle's farm Saw the ones that are the same one. It's in my Instagram video and stuff. And I just practiced on that heaps. Like got whips, threes, flip combos, all this sort of stuff, and then built the jackal, and it was lighter. And yeah, I went over there and I did a tail whip and just flopped it first go, like landed straight on my face and slid down the ramp. It was fantastic. It was just like shaking gravel out of my helmet. I got back up like, God damn it. Just first jump, like bullshit. Well, all right. Did the next one, stomped it, and then yeah, we were on from there. We're good to go.
Did that shake your nerves at all, or were you just like, yeah, nah, it's out of the way now?
Yeah, kind of helped. Like every now and then you need a digger.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise I get a little bit nervous. It's been a little while since I've had one. I'm due for one.
You got to pay that tax.
Yeah, exactly.
And where'd you place for that one?
I missed out on the live feed.
Okay.
It came down to me and Bass van Steenbergen.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
And
cool.
I got him on the first run by like a little bit. So I did the tricks and he went fast, but my tricks made up for his speed. And then on the next one, he just took off like an absolute rocket ship, hey, like full race the whole way. He didn't do one trick the whole way down, but he beat me by like so many seconds. And that was enough to put him into the live feed.
Dude, he's an animal on a bike.
Oh, dude. Such a good dude.
I would love to go and watch the speed and style just to see that. Because it is really one of the only events that culminates both, like bike handling skill and tricks. Yeah,
definitely. You can definitely see the people who are slope riders and not racers, and then you can see like the racers who aren't slope guys, and then there's sort of people in the middle.
Which one would you consider yourself?
I reckon I was like the slope guy, and then I started racing downhill, and I reckon I'm more in the middle now, I hope.
Yeah. Were bike handling skills like hard to get used to, like cornering and flat corners and all that type of thing?
I reckon flat corners have to be the hardest thing to do, just because unless you set them up yourself, you don't do them.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much the races won in the flat corners. You see it at dual slalom and spin style is the last straightaway is normally flat corners, and if you can nail them, sweet as.
Are you thinking about going to do a bit of dual slalom and stuff as well? Because I love dual.
Yeah, I rode all the events I could basically. Yeah. So I rode dual slalom both years, and this year I rode 6 of the 7 events.
Shit, yeah.
At Crankworx. The only one I didn't ride was downhill.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was.
And slopestyle, yeah.
Not downhill, sorry. It was slopestyle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The only one I didn't ride was slopestyle. I rode the downhill.
So that's 6 events over 7 days? 6 days?
Yeah, 6 days or 7 days.
How do you...
Man.
Like, the racing itself is hard enough, but then you've got to practice and learn everything. You're like, how's that play on your mind?
To be honest, like, I was just super pumped to be there and just running on stoke pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
I'd get there and I'd look at the course and I'm like, that is sick. And I'd just do like 5 or 6 laps and all right, cool, sweet. What practice is next? And then go to somewhere else and do more practice and then try qualify as well. Like, oh man, I've never been so, knackered in my life.
And then you got the partying and like the socializing as well, or?
Oh, there wasn't much of that going on. We pretty much drove home and boom, straight into bed. Because like practice starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you have to be up ready to go. Like especially Rotorua, it's sort of like a 20-minute drive from where our accommodation was. So we had to be up super early, breakfast, ready to go again before, so we could, get our practice done. And it was hectic.
Yeah, it would be like I wouldn't be able to get through it. No way. Like I'd probably buckle under the pressure. But it seems like such an experience.
Oh, it is. Honestly, it is the best week of my life. Like, it is so much fun. We had such a good crew this year as well. Like, we had Harriet, Duke and Ellie, Leanna staying with us, and yeah, it was awesome.
Was it like, even with those kind of higher level, you mentioned before everyone's just people, but even with like those higher level, you're at like a professional high level competition, was it still more welcoming than like your BMX days from back in the day? Like, what's the vibe like there?
Oh yeah, I reckon for sure. I still can't get over how inviting, like, no matter what level you're at, everyone is there to ride bikes. And nobody cares, like, what type of bike you're riding, like, what clothes you're wearing, like, any stupid stuff like that. People just care that you're riding good and you're having fun. Like, yeah, super, super good vibes. It's mind-blowing that even like a kids event, or you have like Masters 4, Cat 4 at like a local race, is still the same as like an elite level World Cup. Like, the vibes are still the same for most people. It's mind-blowing. Yeah, and I think that's why the sport is doing so well, basically.
Yeah, it has to be, right? Like,
yeah. Doing something right.
And was there much like industry exposure for you over there when you, like, coming out of nowhere really, and then getting 8th at like your first speed and style? Was there much kind of industry exposure for you, or how did that go about?
Yeah, it was pretty damn wild. My mate of mine who was like filming my runs on my phone, he had to like turn it on to flight mode because it was just blowing up. Like, yeah, it was cool.
And were there companies kind of approaching you or anything, or were you just literally just there to have fun and see what happened?
Not really. Like, I had Pushies and Lusty already behind me, so I had like pretty good crew in my corner. No, nothing really crazy popped up out of it. Just like a whole bunch of followers and random shit like that. A few messages from people, like people in the States saying like, "Oh, dude, that was so sick," blah blah, like all this stuff. A few sort of higher level names reaching out saying I did good and I love watching you ride and stuff. So that was pretty awesome.
That's so good. Yeah. Was it hard, like, to get sponsors like Lusty and Pushies and like Etnies and bigger names in, was it 2 years, 3 years roughly of riding, 2.5 years of riding?
Yeah, 2 years, something like that.
That's like a pretty big deal. What do you think contributes to that?
Honestly, I think it's just comes down to attitude, basically. If you get along with someone and you do good, and yeah, it's pretty much just how it works. If your attitude's right and you're doing the right thing, and people see that, and hopefully they reward you for that, which is pretty much what I think happened with me for sure.
When you say attitude, like, what do you mean? Like, you can't be a racer and get sick results and just get sponsorship, right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you think about it from someone who wants to give you a product or something like that, and they don't get along with you, they're not gonna want to give you stuff, right? Or help you out, you know? So you just gotta be yourself. Don't try and bullshit people with telling them how good you are, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, blah blah. Obviously there's time and a place for that sort of talk and whatever, but just be yourself. Don't be a dick. Don't try and blow yourself up trying to make out that you're all this and whatever. Just have fun. If your riding stands out, the right people will notice you, and once again, the people that notice you are the people that want to work with you, and it'll just happen nicely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Was it hard to kind of present? Like, obviously you're racing and you're fast. Like, there's no doubt about it. But like,
thanks, bro.
But like freestyle and like free riding and tricks and all that side of things is pretty small here in Australia at the moment. It is growing. I've noticed even since, like, because I did Gyres, Motherwell's first ep around this time last year, and even since then it seems.
I remember listening to that actually.
It seems like it's even grown since then, but it is still like small.
Yeah.
Is it hard to kind of like proposition your value to a brand or something when the sport's so small? And then I guess how do you build your skills up when it's pretty much like you, right, in Canberra? Maybe a couple others, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got a pretty good crew around here. Got me, Haz, Caroline, a few other senders, and then people up in Sydney go pretty hard as well. Basically, just I think it's just being different, really. I like to I only do this stuff because I like to do it, really. Like, I don't go, I'm going to learn front flips because if I do that, I'll get this in return. I go to learn a front flip because I'm like, imagine doing a front flip. Like, that'd be epic.
And then never had that thought, but yeah.
Or anything like that. I just do it for me, and then if people are stoked on it, once again, people will be happy with it, and then it's pretty much how it works.
That's such a sick attitude. That's so good. Did you learn the fronty on your hardtail before? Because you did one on the downhill bike?
I did one onto the airbag at Green Valleys, and then I didn't get a chance to try it to dirt. And then the next time I was there, I was on my Bronson, and I did one onto the airbag, and I'm like, sweet. I just went up to the step up there, and pumped myself up, had a few deep breaths, and then, launched one, and it worked pretty good.
Is it pretty weird to do on a big bike? Like a small bike, like a hardtail or something, the suspension isn't going to do too much, right? But like a big bike seems super awkward to do them on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. Like, I did one on my BMX back in the day in Queenstown, and then the next one I did on my BMX, I fell out of the sky and shattered my foot. And then that was the last time I did front flips, and then like 5 years later I tried them on my hardtail onto an airbag, and they sort of worked. And I'm like, oh sweet, they work on the bigger wheels, like on a hardtail. And then I was just like, oh, I'll try one on the Julie, like it'd be super cool to do on a downhill rig. And it kind of worked easier.
Okay.
I don't know, don't ask me how, it just clicked. I'm not exactly sure why. I pretty much just leaned all the way back and then all the way forward, and then snap your legs, and it just came around.
Pretty simple, right?
Yeah, just like that. 1, 2, 3, easy.
Yeah, just lean back, go forward.
Lean forward. Sick. Hang on. Job done.
What's like your dream trick on a mountain bike to learn?
Oof. I reckon 360s are probably the best feeling and looking, like flat spin threes. Definitely probably my favorite for sure. Dream trick, I'm working on potentially a world first on a mountain bike. It's been done on BMX, but I don't think it's been done on a mountain bike yet.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah. So far, so good, but we'll see.
And where are you just training out at your... Obviously, you got Green Valleys, but then you've been training out at your uncle's farm a fair bit. You built that sick little slope track. Yeah,
so we had the little spin style track. So there's that. I've actually got my own airbag set up as well. It's like a kicker to a landing bag. And then we've got Caroline set up out at her boyfriend's place.
That would be a pretty rad setup from what I can see.
Oh, it's wild. It's so grateful to be able to be friends with those guys and for them to let me come hang out and do cool stuff.
It's a sick crew because as you said, you got Harriet and then you got Carolyn and a few others up there.
Yeah.
And then you got like the crew like Jackson and Mitch and everyone else. Like it's solid crew up there at the moment.
Oh, dude, best place to be for sure. It's it's pretty awesome up here at the moment.
And were you involved with like the Madura Pines dirt jump park thing that's happening up there as well?
Yeah, Harriet's definitely like the hardest working person for that for sure. But I built a few features and fixed a few lips here and there and did my bit.
Because that's got to be one of like some of the best looking trails in Australia at the moment, for sure.
Yeah, it's looking good out there and it just keeps getting better.
Sick. And I guess like what are you kind of like you had the Audi 9s tape for this year, but what are you kind of looking forward to like events wise in the future if there are?
One of my sort of a big massive goal for me would be try and get to a Fest series stop, like a Dark Fest or something along those lines. I'm not exactly sure how to do that yet, but we'll figure it out. But that'd be the ultimate sort of goal for sure. But apart from that, be Crankworx next year, and then anything local, dude. I ride anything, enduro, downhill, slope. I'm just happy to be riding.
Is that what kind of keeps you stoked and like motivated for riding all the time, you reckon?
Yeah, variety for sure. I think that's why mountain biking is so good, is because you can go from one extreme to the other.
All in one day.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, Fest looks epic. I'd never want to do it, but going to watch it and looking at it is so rad.
Oh man, I'd be happy just to watch it too, trust me.
Like 70k an hour into a jump.
Man. Just putting bends in your bars and hanging on to it tight.
Yeah. Like Nico Vink or someone was saying they put like 2 downhill tubes in their tyres and pump them both up to 30.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Just to get some weight going on. I don't know what's going on with that.
To stop the tyre roll or something, like you have to run 2 tubes. It's next level.
Yeah, that's a loose.
But looks like fun.
Oh, man. Be a ball.
Maybe we need to get one down here in Australia.
Yeah, Aussie Fest, mate.
Yeah, need to find somewhere.
It'd be good.
Get Nathan Rennie out for a couple. He'll love it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Actually, on that, like one thing I've always thought would be cool in Australia for, I guess, people like yourself and like Jai and then even like Baxter and stuff is, do you think there is like a potential for a series between like Bike Buller, like say you got Cannonball, and then like Maydena had like Gravity Fest or something, and there was like almost like a mini Crankworx in Australia? Because it doesn't seem like there is anything like that.
I reckon that would be fantastic. Like we had, suppose we have Cannonball, right? But honestly, I think that's getting a little bit stale. I think they've got some big ideas in the works to sort of freshen it up a bit. But yeah, imagine having our own series. Whew.
Yeah,
damn fun.
It'd be good to build that side of the sport, that kind of festival series.
Yeah, that'd be
I'm
great.
not sure how racing is going at the moment in Australia.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to tell, isn't it?
Because there's no national series and it's all kind of like weird.
Yeah, it's all a bit funny, isn't it? But it'll bounce back. I'm sure it has in the past, and I'm a little bit too new to fully comment on it, but
exactly. Yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah, I've been here long, mate. It's all good.
Right, man. We might start wrapping things up a little bit here.
Yeah, no worries.
What advice would you have to crew, like young kids or even people that are doing like a a discipline swap at your kind of like what you did at your age, like what advice would you have to people who want to kind of succeed in that area?
Honestly, I know it gets thrown around every time, but do what you love to do, like, and don't be afraid to change. I think people try and hang on to something that, like, especially with like for me with BMX, it took me a little while to be like, no, actually, I am kind of done with that. But yeah, don't be afraid to change it up, basically. And just always do what you love. Like, honestly, if you're putting effort into something you don't like, you're not going to be happy in the long run, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I like that. It's good. Is there anything you would have changed, like, up until now?
Anything would have changed? No, not really. I don't think I would have changed anything. Maybe start racing downhill a little bit earlier would have been good.
Yeah. Get back on the big wheels a bit earlier.
Getting into the big wheels a bit earlier probably would have been good, I reckon.
How old are you now?
I am 28.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you're coming into it pretty late-ish, which sounds terrible, but yeah.
Super late, mate. Super late.
Still
like a young pup, but yeah, super late for mountain biking sort of top guns.
So good, though.
Oh, dude, loving it.
And last question I always like to ask, seems to be the hardest, but what music or what do you listen to kind of get motivated for something? Like, say you're at the top of a run, or you want to get, or you're struggling to get out on the bike.
I will tell you, I've got this playlist. Well, not playlist. It's really only 2 songs, but it's called John Wick Mode. It's off the John Wick 2 movie, the soundtrack for that.
Yes.
And then that one runs into Grinspoon, So You Want to Be a Champion.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
And it's about 6 minutes long, which is roughly a downhill at Cannonball, which is like perfect.
Yeah, okay.
If you finish before the music stops, you had a pretty damn good run.
Yeah, okay. Do you ever sing it to yourself or anything as you're going down?
Yeah, dude, I love a good sing to myself, mate.
Yeah, good. I want to be trackside for that.
Oh, yeah, so good.
Yeah, that's rad. Easy, man. Well, yeah, thanks so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
That's all good. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you at a few events this year, especially like nationals and stuff. I'm hoping to make the trip. So
yeah, I'll be there for sure. I'll be there.
Yeah, right. Easy, man. Well, yeah, thanks so much for that, and enjoy the rest of your night.
All good. You too. Have fun.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Yeah.